The Apollo Theater was packed on Friday night, March 18th, 1955. Every seat filled, standing room only. 1,400 people, most of them black, most of them from Harlem, all of them paying good money to see Frank Sinatra perform. Sinatra was at the peak of his comeback. After years of struggling, his career had roared back to life with From Here to Eternity and a string of hit records. He was the biggest star in America, and tonight he was performing at the Apollo, the crown jewel of black entertainment, the stage where Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, and Billie Holiday had become legends. This wasn't a charity show. This wasn't Sinatra slumming it. This was a sold-out performance with ticket prices as high as any venue in the city. The audience had paid to see excellence, and they expected it. Bumpy Johnson sat in the 10th row with Mamie, Julius Gordon, and Willie Fish. He didn't go to many shows, but the Apollo was special. It was Harlem's theater, and when a major star performed there, Bumpy made a point of being in the audience. It was about respect, about showing that Harlem supported its own institutions. The lights dimmed at 8 p.m. The band struck up the opening number, and Frank Sinatra walked onto the stage. Even from 10 rows back, Bumpy could tell something was wrong. Sinatra's walk wasn't smooth, his tie was loose, his jacket looked rumpled, and when he grabbed the microphone, his first words were slurred. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." He was drunk. The band started "I've Got You Under My Skin," one of Sinatra's signature songs, but from the first verse, it was clear this wasn't going to be the performance the audience had paid for. Sinatra missed his cue, came in late, forgot the lyrics halfway through the second verse and had to mumble his way through. The band tried to cover for him, stretching out the instrumental sections, giving him time to recover. But he didn't recover. He got worse. By the third song, people in the audience were shifting uncomfortably. By the fifth, there were murmurs of disappointment. Sinatra seemed oblivious. He swayed at the microphone, made jokes that didn't land, and at one point snapped at the conductor. "You're rushing, slow it down." The conductor, a respected Harlem musician named Thomas Pops Miller, didn't respond. Just kept conducting, professional, despite the disrespect. Then came New York, New York. It should have been the highlight of the show, the crowd pleaser, the song everyone had come to hear. Sinatra started strong, but by the chorus he'd forgotten half the words. He tried to cover it with scat singing, with improvisation, but it was sloppy, graceless. And that's when someone in the balcony booed. Just one person. One sustained boo that cut through the music like a knife. Sinatra stopped singing. The band kept playing for a few bars, then trailed off. Sinatra stood at the microphone, swaying slightly, squinting up at the balcony. Did someone just boo me? More people booed. Not everyone, but enough. A section of the crowd expressing their legitimate disappointment. Sinatra's face darkened. "You people are booing me? I came to this neighborhood to perform for you. I could be at the Copacabana right now, making twice as much money in front of people who actually appreciate talent. But I came here, to Harlem, and this is the thanks I get?" The booing got louder. Mamie grabbed Bumpy's arm. He didn't just say that, but he had. Sinatra pointed at the audience. "You know what? Forget it. You want to boo? Fine. Show's over. I'm done." And he walked off the stage. Just walked off. Left the band sitting there. Left 1,400 people who'd paid to see a full show sitting in stunned silence. The house lights came up. The Apollo's manager, Robert Williams, rushed onto the stage with a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the interruption. Please give us a few moments to—" "We want our money back," someone shouted. The call was taken up by others. "Refund! Refund! Refund!" Williams tried to calm the crowd. "Mr. Sinatra is experiencing technical difficulties. We're going to try to resume the show." "He's drunk," a woman yelled, "and he called us you people. We want our money back." The situation was deteriorating fast. Bumpy could see it. 1,400 angry people, all of them feeling disrespected, all of them out the money they'd paid for tickets. Williams made a decision. The Apollo Theater will issue full refunds to all ticket holders.
Please form an orderly line at the box office. We sincerely apologize for tonight's performance." The crowd started filing out, angry, muttering, some people cursing Sinatra's name. Bumpy sat still, watching them leave. Mamie looked at him. "You're thinking something." "Yeah, I'm thinking Frank Sinatra just made the biggest mistake of his career." By Saturday morning, the story was everywhere. The Amsterdam News ran it on the front page. Sinatra walks out on Harlem audience, calls them ungrateful. The Daily News picked it up. Chairman of the board bombs at the Apollo. By noon, it was national news. Sinatra's representatives released a statement. Mr. Sinatra experienced vocal strain during last night's performance and had to cut the show short. He apologizes for any inconvenience and appreciates his fans' understanding. No man.
Julius frowned. How? Bumpy picked up the phone and dialed a number. It rang 3 times before someone answered. "Morris, it's Bumpy Johnson. I need to speak with Frank Sinatra's manager. I don't care if he's busy. Tell him it's about last night at the Apollo. Tell him Bumpy Johnson wants to have a conversation about what happens next. No, not a threat, a conversation, professional courtesy." "Good. I'll wait." 2 minutes later, a different voice came on the line. Hank Sanicola, Sinatra's longtime manager and business partner. "Mr. Johnson, I'm told you want to discuss last night." "That's right. Your client insulted 1,400 people in my neighborhood, called them ungrateful, walked out on a show they paid for, and now his people are pretending it was a vocal problem. That's not going to work." "Frank had a bad night. It happens. We issued refunds. What more do you want?" "I want Frank Sinatra to come back to the Apollo and apologize tonight." There was a pause. "You're joking." "Do I sound like I'm joking?" "Frank Sinatra doesn't apologize, especially not on command. Who the hell do you think you are?" "I'm the man who controls whether or not Frank Sinatra performs in New York City again, and right now I'm thinking he doesn't." "You can't stop Frank from performing in New York City. He's the biggest star in America, I know. But stars need venues, and venues need permits, and permits need approvals from people who owe me favors. So unless you want Frank's next 3 New York shows to be mysteriously canceled due to permit issues, fire code violations, or labor disputes, you'll have him back at the Apollo tonight at 8 o'clock to apologize to the people he disrespected. This is extortion. No, this is accountability. Frank made a mistake, a big one. He can fix it or he can deal with the consequences. His choice. I'll have to talk to him. You do that. And Hank, make sure he's sober this time." Bumpy hung up. Julius was staring at him. "You really think you can cancel his New York shows?" "I know I can. The Paramount needs city permits for their weekly shows. I know the deputy mayor. The Copa is in Midtown, but their liquor license comes through a board I have connections to. And the Waldorf, where he's supposed to perform next month, their head of security is a friend. Frank Sinatra can perform in New York, or he can explain to his fans why 3 major shows got canceled. His choice. He's going to fight this. Maybe, but his people are smart. They'll do the math. 1 apology at the Apollo costs Frank his pride. Canceled shows cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars and his reputation. They'll make the—
He apologizes, but he doesn't grovel. He explains what happened, takes responsibility, and moves on. 5 minutes, tops. Fine, as long as it's genuine. And he performs. A full set. Proper show. We're not doing an apology tour. He says he's sorry, then he does what he came to do. Sing. Even better, the people deserve a real show. One more thing. This doesn't get publicized ahead of time. We don't want media circus. Frank shows up, does his thing, and we move on. I can agree to that. But Hank, If he shows up drunk again, if he disrespects that audience one more time, there won't be a third chance. Understand? He'll be sober. You have my word. Good. 8 o'clock, Apollo Theater. Don't be late. Saturday, 7:45 p.m. The word had spread through Harlem like wildfire. Not through newspapers or radio, through the streets, through phone calls, through the network of people who knew Bumpy Johnson. Sinatra's coming back. Tonight, 8 o'clock, Apollo. By 7:30, there was a line around the block. People who'd been at Friday's disaster. People who'd heard about it. People who wanted to see if Frank Sinatra would actually show up and face the music. Robert Williams, the Apollo's manager, had been skeptical when Bumpy called him that afternoon. You really think he'll come? He'll come. Have your people ready. Full house, same ticket prices as last night. And if he doesn't show, he'll show. Bumpy arrived at 7:50 with Mamie. Same seats as the night before. 10th row, center. The theater was packed again. Same energy, but different. Last night had been anticipation. Tonight was tension. People wanted to see what would happen. At 7:58, a black Cadillac pulled up to the stage door. Frank Sinatra got out. He was wearing a sharp suit, sober, focused, hair perfect, the professional version of the man who'd stumbled onto the stage 24 hours earlier. Hank Sunicola was with him, so was a bodyguard. Robert Williams met him at the door. Mr. Sinatra, glad you're here. Let's get this over with, Sinatra muttered. At 8 p.m. exactly, the lights dimmed. The crowd went silent. Frank Sinatra walked onto the stage, alone. No fanfare, no introduction. He stood at the microphone, looking out at the audience. For a long moment,
That was wrong. All of it. You paid good money to see a show, and I didn't give it to you. You had every right to boo, every right to be angry, and instead of taking responsibility, I blamed you. I disrespected you in your own theater, in your own neighborhood. The theater was absolutely silent. 1,400 people holding their breath. I've performed all over the world, Sinatra continued. Carnegie Hall, the Copacabana, Royal Albert Hall in London. But the Apollo Theater is special. This stage has history. This audience has standards. The greatest performers in the world have stood where I'm standing. And last night, I dishonored that legacy. He looked down for a moment, then back up. I can't undo what I said. I can't take back walking on you. All I can do is apologize, sincerely, and ask for the chance to give you the show you deserved last night. If you'll let me, I'd like to try again. And this time, I promise, I'll be the performer you paid to see. He stepped back from the microphone. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then someone in the balcony started clapping. Then someone else. Then a section of the crowd. Then everyone. It wasn't a standing ovation, not yet, but it was acceptance, forgiveness, a willingness to give him another chance. Sinatra nodded, turned to the band, and gestured to the conductor. Let's start with I've Got the World on a String, he said quietly. The band struck up the opening notes, and Frank Sinatra began to sing. Not the sloppy, drunk version from the night before, the real Frank Sinatra, the voice that had made him a legend, clear, powerful, controlled, every note perfect, every word crisp. By the end of the first song, people were smiling. By the third song, they were clapping along. By the fifth song, the Apollo was alive with energy. Sinatra performed for 90 minutes, full set, every song he'd promised the night before and more. He joked with the band. He talked to the audience. He was charming, professional, giving them everything they'd paid for. And at the end, When he sang New York, New York, the song he'd butchered 24 hours earlier, he nailed it. Every word, every note, the whole theater sang along. When he finished, the crowd rose to their feet. This time, it was a standing ovation, real and earned. Sinatra stood at the microphone.
Sinatra stood up immediately. The two men looked at each other for a moment. "Mr. Johnson, I assume you're the reason I'm here tonight." "That's right. Hank told me you made some calls, convinced me it was in my best interest to come back." "I did. Mind if I ask why? You could have just let me leave town, let the whole thing blow over. Why make me come back?" Bumpy was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Because apologies matter. When you disrespect people, especially people who've been disrespected their whole lives, you don't get to just walk away and pretend it didn't happen. Those people in that theater, most of them work hard for every dollar they have. They spent their money to see you, and you insulted them. If you just disappeared to Vegas and moved on, the message would have been their feelings don't matter, their money doesn't matter, they don't matter. So you made me come back to teach me a lesson." "No, I made you come back to give you the chance to do the right thing. You could have shown up tonight and given them a half-hearted apology and a mediocre show, but you didn't. You gave them real remorse and a real performance. That's on you, not me." Sinatra nodded slowly. "You know, I've worked with a lot of tough guys in my career. Vegas, the clubs, all of it. But you're different. You didn't threaten me, didn't rough me up. You just made it very clear that I had a choice, fix my mistake or live with the consequences. That's all accountability is, choices and consequences." Sinatra extended his hand. "Thank you for making me do the right thing. I mean that." Bumpy shook it. "Thank you for actually doing it. Most people in your position wouldn't have." As Bumpy turned to leave, Sinatra called out, "Mr. Johnson, if I ever come back to the Apollo, and I'd like to, will you be in the audience? If you're sober and you respect the people who paid to see you, yeah, I'll be there." Deal. The next morning, the newspapers had a different story. Sinatra returns to Apollo, delivers performance of a lifetime. Chairman of the board apologizes to Harlem. Audience gives standing ovation. The Daily News ran a quote from someone in the audience. "Last night he was a drunk who insulted us. Tonight he was Frank Sinatra." That's the difference. Years later, in 1962, Sinatra was performing at a benefit concert in Harlem. Before the show, a reporter asked him why he kept coming back to perform in black neighborhoods when he could make more money in Vegas or Atlantic City. Sinatra's answer was simple. "Because I learned a long time ago that the toughest audiences are also the most honest. They'll boo you if you're bad and cheer you if you're good. And if you disrespect them, someone will make sure you come back and apologize. That's how it should be. Everywhere." "Someone made you apologize once?" Sinatra smiled. "Yeah, and I'm grateful he did, because it taught me something I needed to learn. Talent doesn't give you the right to be an ass. Your audience doesn't owe you anything. You owe them everything. And if you forget that, someone like Bumpy Johnson will remind you." The story became legend in Harlem. The night Frank Sinatra walked out on the Apollo. The night Bumpy Johnson made him come back. The night a drunk, disrespectful performance turned into one of the best shows the Apollo had ever seen. Not because Bumpy forced it, but because Bumpy gave Sinatra the opportunity to be better. And Sinatra, to his credit, took it. That's the difference between power and wisdom. Power forces people to do things. Wisdom gives them the chance to choose the right thing. And when they choose right, everybody wins. The audience got the show they deserved, Sinatra got the redemption he needed, and Harlem got the message it had always known. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And if you disrespect this neighborhood, someone will make sure you earn it back, one way or another.